Sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and could even keep you from the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. Welcome to the No BS Sales School podcast. I'm your host, Walker McKay. So I was coaching, and this happens on a fairly regular basis. I was coaching a client of mine, and he had just closed a big deal. It had taken him a while. It had taken him, a couple of months to get done, but he sells a big enterprise type thing that had to have multiple decision makers over obviously longer periods of time. And I asked him after the thing closed, after they got paid, I said, why did they buy from you? And he said, well, I think it's because they liked our technology and I had a pretty good relationship with them. And I think that they were tired of Motorola and blah, 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 blah. And I said, oh, okay. So you think so? He goes, yeah. I said, but you don't know so. He said, no. And I said, why don't you know? He said, well, I think that blah, 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 blah. And I think that blah, 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 blah. And I said, yeah, but you don't know. He said, well, no. And I said, why do you think it would be important to know why they bought from you? He goes, well, I guess because then I might understand what they like and what I need to be making sure gets delivered. I was like, yep. And I said, what else? He said, well, maybe I guess I could have more third-party stories where I could tell other people why some people buy. I'm like, yep. And I said, do you think your new client, formerly prospect, but since they bought, now they're a client, do you think they want to be understood more or less? He said, more. I said, okay, what are you going to do now? He said, I don't know. I said, well, it's never too late. Suppose you pick up the phone and you call them and you say, look, I'm so glad that you made the decision to hire us. I think we're going to absolutely take great care of you. But I'm curious. You had several choices and yet you picked ours. Do you mind telling me what was it that kind of tipped you over the edge? And he goes, yeah, I could do that. And I said, here's the thing. Maybe the first thing they tell you isn't going to be the real reason. I said, because people start off intellectually, right? And they may say, well, because, better service or better whatever. And I said, so I want you to follow up with, and what else? And what else? And what else? And then tell me something. Why is that a big deal? What we have to do is get to the heart of the matter. Stop guessing why people buy. Stop guessing why people have already bought from you. It may even be worth a conversation to call all of your major accounts and say, hey, look, I know you've got a lot of choices and I'm sure my competitors are calling you. Tell me something. Why do you keep buying from us? What is it that we're doing that keeps you from firing us and going some other place? Wouldn't you want to know that? Here's the thing. Your customer wants to be understood. They want you to understand them and where they're coming from. It's up to us to go ask. Tell me something. How'd you happen to buy from me? What was it that made you pick us over somebody else? And then I'm sure my competitors are calling. What are you telling them? And why wouldn't you just fire us and hire somebody else? Now, I know those feel like scary questions, but if you ever want to build true rapport, true bonding, be a little bit vulnerable, be empathetic. And when your customer tells you what they love and why they bought from you, make sure you keep giving them that. I'm Walker McKay with No BS Sales School. Go out there, sell some stuff, and buy my book. Some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? Available on Amazon. It's also available on my website, walkermckay.com. Thanks for listening. Share this with somebody else who needs to hear it. Thanks for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast. If you're struggling to close deals, then I want to invite you to take my free mini course, where you'll learn the 7 most expensive sales mistakes that will cost you time, money, and credibility. So be sure to click the link in the show notes or go to www.7salesmistakes.com. That's the number 7salesmistakes.com. Thanks again for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast.